Lin Shi and her childhood sweetheart Shanghai have known each other for 20 years. Growing up side by side, they share an inseparable bond. While Lin Shi has secretly been in love with Shen Che for many years, she never dares to confess her true feelings and only stays by his side as an ordinary friend, hiding her deep affection in her heart. Handsome and unrestrained, Shen Che has a domineering yet protective personality. He is surrounded by many admirers. Qiao Ying, one of his persistent suitors, has always been jealous of the intimate relationship between Lin Shi and Shen Che, and deliberately picks on and makes things difficult for Lin Shi at every turn. Throwing a party at a KTV with friends, everyone plays the King's Dare game, and Lin Shi ends up losing the round. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Qiao Ying deliberately makes things hard for her, forcing Lin Shi to send an ambiguous and prank message to any male contact impregnate with your child. From that night, if you don't believe me, transfer 100 yuan to me, and I'll show you proof. This embarrassing message subtly alludes to an incident that happened a month ago. At a mutual friend's birthday banquet, everyone got drunk. Shen Che carried the intoxicated Lin Shi home on his back. Moved by the gentle night breeze in his broad shoulders, Lin Shi impulsively stole a light kiss on his cheek. Qiao Ying knew about this secret moment long ago and intended to humiliate Lin Shi with it, making her the laughingstock of the crowd. Unwilling to back down and lose face in front of Qiao Ying and all their friends, Lynx Eye mustered up her courage. In a moment of impulse, she sent the ridiculous message to Shen Che, whose chat box had been pinned at the top of her list for years, the boy she had loved in secret for so long. The moment the message was sent, the whole room burst into whispers and whispers, with every pair of eyes fixed on her phone screen. Shen Che replied in seconds with an overbearing and shocking line. "One little kiss and you get pregnant? Wait right there. I'll take you for a checkup myself." His bold response completely reversed the awkward situation. Qiao Ying, who had hoped to watch Lin Shi suffer embarrassment, was left utterly humiliated and furious. Panicked and flustered, Lin Shi tried her best to type an explanation, clarifying that it was just a punishment from a truth or dare game. However, her best friend Tang firmly encouraged her to seize this rare chance. She secretly sent the KEV location to Shen Che, urging Lin Shi to take this Oolong incident as an opportunity to test Shen Che's true feelings towards her. Before Lin Shi could stop her, the message had already been sent. Soon after, Shen Che pushed open the KTV, or with a cold and solemn expression. Backlit by the dim light, he locked his sharp eyes firmly on Lin Shi among the crowd. Ignoring all the onlookers, he stepped forward forcefully, grabbed her wrist tightly, and dragged her out of the private room without a single word of explanation. The atmosphere inside the car turned extremely cold and oppressive on the way away. Shen Che remained dead silent, filled with obvious anger and displeasure. Lin Shi kept explaining anxiously, repeatedly emphasizing that the weird message was nothing but a silly game prank and not a real fact. Nevertheless, Shen Che refused to listen to any explanation, his tone icy and distant. Instead of sending her home, he drove straight to a private hospital, insisting on taking her for a formal physical examination to confirm whether she was pregnant. While they were arguing awkwardly, Shen Che's mother suddenly called to ask about their whereabouts and daily interactions. Faced with his mother's concerned inquiry, Niue Shen Che acted on impulse. He concealed the truth of the prank on purpose and lied that he was taking his girlfriend for a prenatal checkup to confirm the news of his upcoming child. Overjoyed by the sudden good news, Shen Han immediately spread the exciting news to all relatives and friends. This foolish Oolong was completely out of control, trapping Lin Shi in an extremely awkward and helpless predicament. Filled with shame and rage, Lin Shi blamed Shen Che for overreacting and fabricating lies at will. In retaliation, Shen Che retorted that she had started the ridiculous joke first and must bear all the consequences she brought upon herself. After arriving at the hospital, they were unexpectedly confronted by Qiao Ying and her mother, who had come for a medical visit. Catching sight of Lin Shi and Shen Chai appearing near the obstetrics and gynecology department late at night, Qiao Ying and her mother immediately took the chance to mock and slander them in public. They spoke mean and insulting words, accusing Lin Shi of being undisciplined and immoral, and humiliated her in front of other patients in the lobby. Deeply protective of Lin Shi, Shen Che flew into a rage the second she was insulted. He used his personal connections to contact the hospital management. Since Qiao Ying's father was receiving cardiology treatment in this hospital, Shen Che directly pressured the hospital to arrange an immediate transfer for Qiao's family. With his powerful influence, he successfully stopped the malicious humiliation and drove the unreasonable mother and daughter away, standing firmly in front of Lin Shi to shield her from all harm. After the farce ended, the nurse called Lin Shi in for pregnancy tests, blood tests, and other routine examinations. Faced with the inevitable exposure of her lie, Lin Shi could no longer hold back her emotions. She broke down completely and confessed the whole truth without reservation. She admitted that the pregnancy rumor was completely fake, and the ambiguous message was a malicious trick designed by Qiao Ying as a game punishment. Everything that had happened that night was just an absurd and childish joke. The moment he heard the truth, Shen Che was severely hurt and disappointed. His anger was never merely about the silly prank. In fact, he had secretly loved Lin Shi for 20 years. Just like she loved him in silence. He had long noticed the secret kiss on that drunken night and kept this sweet little secret in his heart all along. When he received her strange message, he had secretly hoped that it might be true, eager to take this chance to break the ice between them and confirm their relationship with the girl he had always cherished. The beautiful expectation he had held tightly was crushed into pieces in an instant. Overwhelmed by despair, hurt and disappointment, Shen Che fell into dead silence. With a pale and heartbroken expression, he turned around and left without a single extra word, leaving Lin Shi alone in deep regret. From that day on, a cold war broke out between the two childhood sweethearts who had never been separated, and the following days and weeks, Lin Shi fell into endless guilt and suffering. At school, Shen Shi completely cut off contact with her. He ignored her on purpose, refused to reply to her messages, hung up her calls directly, and passed her by without a single glance. The closest childhood friends turned into strangers who passed each other in silence. Tormented by regret and heartache, Lin Shi became haggard and distracted, unable to eat or sleep well, trapped in self-blame every single day. Her best friend advised her to take the initiative to apologize and reconcile with Shen Che. On a weekend, Lin Shi was forced by her mother to visit the Shen family. There, she witnessed Shen Che's emotional collapse. After days of suppression, all his grievances burst out. He questioned Lin Shi bitterly in front of their parents, complaining that his sincere feelings had been treated as a joke. He asked whether he was just a clown for her and her friends to tease, or a spare tire she could dismiss at will. After pouring out all his pain and frustration, Shen Che rushed out of the house in a fit of rage and disappeared without a trace. Both families fell into panic and chaos. They searched every corner they could think of, but found no trace of him. Aunt Shum was so worried that she even called the police. At this critical moment filled with fear and anxiety, Lin Shi received a strange phone call from Shen Che. He told her that he was at their old secret spot on the mountaintop, a place full of their childhood memories overlooking the entire city's night view. Without hesitation, Lin Shi rushed to the mountaintop in the cold night wind. She found Shen Che sitting alone by the cliff, drinking alcohol numbly. He looked extremely lonely and vulnerable under the cold moonlight. Shen Che slowly revealed all his hidden feelings and secret love over the years. He confessed that he was fully awake when she kissed him that night and had restrained himself carefully for fear of scaring her away. He had imagined their future life earnestly and even picked out names for their future son and daughter. He had been furious at Qiao Ying's mother's insults only because he could never allow anyone to hurt the girl he loved. He had once sincerely hoped that the silly joke could become real. Yet, he ended up being the biggest fool in this farce. Tears streamed down Lin Xi's face as she listened to his heartfelt confession. She finally plucked up the courage to reveal her long-suppressed secret. She had loved Shen Che for 20 years. She had sent that risky message with hidden selfish intentions, wanting to test his feelings. But she had never expected to cause such irreversible harm. She apologized repeatedly, begging for his forgiveness and praying that he would not cut her off completely. The truth of their mutual unspoken love finally came to light. They had always cared for and loved each other silently. Yet both were too timid to confess their true feelings and missed countless chances to be together. All his grievances faded away the moment he saw her tearful face. Overcome with tenderness and reluctance, Shen Che held the crying Lin Shi tightly in his arms, admitting that he was also at fault for hiding his love for so many years. Bathing in the soft moonlight on the quiet mountain top, Shen Che confessed his love sincerely and formally asked Lin Shi to be his girlfriend. With tears in her eyes and a heart full of joy, Lin Shi nodded firmly. After 20 years of hesitation and unspoken affection, they kissed deeply in the night breeze, embracing the love that had been delayed for far too long. On the way down the mountain, they held hands tightly, and sweet affection filled the quiet car. After turning on his phone, Shen Che faced countless missed calls and anxious messages from his mother. He took the initiative to announce their official relationship to his family. Faced with the awkward dulong about the unborn child, he resolved the embarrassment humorously, promising to turn the silly joke into a real sweet reality with practical actions. All misunderstandings, cold wars and hidden hurts vanished completely. A reckless dare game prank accidentally broke through the thin layer of ambiguity between the two secret lovers. It turned decades of childhood friendship into sweet romantic love. Letting go of timidity and hesitation, Lin Shi and Shen Che untied all knots, chose to walk hand in hand, and turned an accidental farce into a lifelong promise. Their story, which began with a silly joke, finally ushered in a warm and perfect ending, starting a sweet and lasting relationship built on mutual affection and long-standing companionship.